How do we do this once we get this?
No, it's really good. Lots of support. So today's my first day. I have 2 computer screens, which I'm not used to, so I'd say it's more efficient. So we got used to that today. And set up.
The rest of them say you're very good.
No, I'm assistant, legal assistant with Heather, so I do all the drafting for legal documents. I talk to clients, book them in for stuff. I do billings, whatever kind of meetings I do.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call our meeting to order. Again, as we usually do with the moment of silence to pray, or if you like, we say the business of the county this evening. Thank you. All right, and before the agenda, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are on Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Now, we need a motion to approve the agenda. We have a couple of additions here first, Councilor Wells. There's a proclamation came up with this morning at the service meeting to do with Waste Reduction Week, so that's going to be the first thing on our agenda once we get approval of the agenda. And then under 8, 8A will be the letter of support for the healthcare providers. And 8B, I'm going to bring up a dialysis, which we've dealt with here before, but this is a slightly different request in a situation that came up, or it was brought up a lot this afternoon by various mayors and friendly councils and whatnot, so we'll deal with the dialysis issue. On 8B, go ahead, Councilor Dave Barker.
Just had a call late this afternoon from a firefighter wanting to know if we can inquire or we have a policy, I don't think we have one, policy on vaccination for fire.
Vaccination requirement, do you want to add that?
Yeah, I like that at 8C.
8C, okay. 8C will be vaccination for firefighters. Okay, and any other additions to the agenda? Go ahead, Councilor Thomas. Started something.
It is. It did. Just a discussion on this, on the vaccinations for getting into facilities such as the wellness center. I'm just wondering how they're handling situations. So we have an update on that.
Okay, we'll just add that on after the vaccination for the firefighters.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councilor Thomas.
I apologize for adding to the agenda, but I'd like to discuss the vaccination policy for our council.
Okay, so we got 3 different variations on vaccinations there. We'll deal with them all under 8C. Okay, with those additions, now I'm going to have a motion, I believe, Councilor Boyd, to approve that. And second, please. Ed, Mary, thank you. Okay. I want to ask if there's any more additions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, now I'm going to this waste reduction week in Canada is going to be October the 18th to the 24th. We'll come up pretty fast. Once you get into a month, it doesn't take long to get halfway through. So I'll read this out. We commit to waste reduction, resource conservation, and community education for sustainable living. We recognize that losing waste to disposal and as litter are local and global threats to the environment. We will take action to reduce our waste and support the circular economy. I'm myself, Robert Parker Ward, over the board 2021. You don't need to vote on that. Just read it. I believe the rest of the council sometime during this month are going to declare the same proclamation.
What's the date, Morton? I never got it.
I just said October the 12th. The date of the waste reduction week, sorry, is October the 18th to the 24th.
Thank you.
And that is for Canada. That's the waste reduction week in Canada, not just for province. Okay, now we'll move on to the minutes. Need approval of minutes from the September 7th and the 20th. So we'll do those together, I guess, unless somebody wishes different.
So moved.
Can we have a second, please? Second by Councilor Dave Carter. Any questions on either set of minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, we have some correspondence there for information purposes. No decision needed on that. Anybody have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councilor Dave Carter.
There are many groups in our communities that work tirelessly and very rarely get any kind of recognition. So I want to spend a moment blowing the horn for the Riverview Volunteer Association. They are volunteers. They raise money, sometimes quite large sums of money, that winds up enriching the lives of the people that live in that facility. They do it tirelessly without anybody asking, with very little thanks. Some people that have been on there for like 15 years or more. And they do really good work. It has a real impact on the lives of people that are in those facilities. So I just want to publicly recognize that they do first-class work when they're on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. It's always good to recognize a lot of our citizens that do a lot of good volunteer services that almost goes unnoticed many times. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the dangerous and unsightly premises hearing at 6333 East River West Side Road in Eureka. Property belonging to James Paul Atkins. Who's going to give us the information on that one? Oh, I forgot about being on the screen there. Sorry about it. Okay, you both are pretty quiet there. Okay, you want to lead us through this dangerous and unsightly premises hearing, Logan, please?
Yes, thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Very well.
Yes.
Thanks. Yeah, no, so this dangerous and unsightly has been on our list for about a year and a half, almost a year and a half. We received a signed complaint form on May 29th, 2020. We sent an initial notice and received no response. That was sent on July 7th, 2020. We requested a title search on August 13th, 2020, which we did not receive until August 10th, 2021. So just 3 days shy of a year. We sent a notice of opportunity to attend council and a draft order, which was mailed and posted on the property on September 24th, 2021. The property is in a dangerous and unsightly condition. I live adjacent to it, or relatively close to it. I pass it on walks, and it's been unkept for that amount of time as well. Its assessment is $96,900, and the property has a total area of 1.47 acres. It's an awkwardly shaped property with a big dog leg. It actually borders East River West Side Road in two locations, and surrounds the East River Valley post office boxes and community gardens. The property is in tax sale with arrears to date of $33,703.03. And finally, the property has a sewer lateral and has been charged sewer lateral fees However, it would appear that the residence has not been occupied for some time.
It is. Okay, so you've heard the description of the dangerous on-site things that we're dealing with here at 6333 East River West Side Road. Are there any questions for Mr. McDowell on that dangerous on-site? Go ahead, Councilor David.
I'm not quite sure I heard correctly, but I thought he said that the tax arrears were something in the range of $33,000. So
That's correct. Yeah.
my question would be, how long does that go back? How many years has he not paid his taxes?
I don't have the information related to the number of years that taxes had not been paid. However, we have never received a response from the property owner in question. Nothing to say that they've received what we've sent, and nothing certainly to confirm that they would do anything related to what we've sent. So presumably we've had no contact with them for at least 1 year and 3 months, dating back to May 2020. And in terms of the tax sale arrears, if they're at that high amount of $33,703, I think it would be safe to assume that it's been several years based on an assessment of only $96,900.
It might even be several decades.
Yes, I would agree with that. I guess in theory it would. I mean, we don't. I guess my understanding of this process with tax sale is that we wouldn't normally post or include something in a tax sale until it had hit several years, something in the order of 6 years. So I think it's likely safe to assume that it's, like you said, based on an assessment of under $100,000. I would also say that it's likely safe to assume that it's been, several years, if not well over a decade.
I may.
Go ahead.
First of all, Mr. McDowell, I'm certainly not blaming you. I know you're new to the job, but I'm having difficulty believing that, first of all, it took almost a year to get titles have done. But more importantly, why we haven't taken this tax sale before now. This has got to be at least 20 years, maybe longer. And that's what makes some of our employees' job difficult. It's not getting the support from here. Okay, we have to move things along here and show people that we're serious about our rules. If you don't pay your taxes, then the county will sell the property. Not 23 years later or whatever. It's got to be something like that for that amount to accumulate.
Yeah, it will just inform me that it could very well have been up for sale and not sold, but not that it never went up for sale. I mean, you'd have to check back in the records, but it is a case that not every place it goes up for tax sale sells. So it's not necessarily that it wasn't ever put up. It may not have sold. So I don't know until we look at the details of it to see what the case is behind it. That may be
Well, we should inquire. We shouldn't have this kind of stuff going on for decades.
we can have a look into it. But right now, tonight we're dealing with the demolition. That's why it's before council. If it wasn't a demolition, that wouldn't be here. It'd be looked after by our bylaw officer. And we all know that a lot of these properties have been on the list for a long while, and thankfully we're getting some of them caught up. But if there's no more questions on that property, at this point, I'd ask Councilor Dewar to read the resolution for the demolition of that property.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Just for the resolution, I'll mention that that's been brought up since years, maybe 2 of my terms, about getting it snuggled up or cleaned up, getting it tore down, and it was just brought back up in 2020 again. And when we were trying to reorganize how we were doing things at that time, but it's been on, it's like the file downstairs since 10 years or more. Thank you. Resolution. Be resolved by the Municipal Council for the municipality of the county of Hector, the council finds that the property located at 633 East River West Side Road, Eureka, tax number 00134402423, and further described in the attached order is dangerous and unsightly. And be it resolved that council pursuant to section 346 of part 15 of chapter 18 of the Acts of 1998, the Municipal Government Act, make an order in the form attached hereto and forming part of this resolution. The said order to be signed and issued forthwith on behalf of the council by the chief administrative officer of the municipality of his dated the Pictou NS is 4th day of October 2021, signed by myself, Councillor Chester Stewart, and seconded by Councillor Andy Thompson.
So second.
Okay, you've heard the reading of the resolution to do with the dangerous and unsafe property in Eureka. Are there any questions on the resolution? Okay, hearing none, we'll have a vote on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, so that building will be, unless the order is, gives the owner, is it 30 days? Right. That's what there is. 30 days to take that building down, and if they don't, then we take it down, and that cost goes, I guess, added on to 33,000 it's already owned. At some point, then it will be, if it's not, taxes aren't paid, and it doesn't appear that way, then it will be sold to help cover the cost of taking the stuff down. Okay, are there any, or that's the issues dealt with. Let's move on to our reports. The first report is the Pierre Library report from Councilor Washington. Go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our board met on September 9th at the library in Antigonish. It was a nice reminder that we put in the facility as usual and functional right here in County. We are still hearing reports of continued support for this new facility in Pictou and remain hopeful we will soon have information to begin this project. Meanwhile, Troy and Eric continue fundraising efforts, which so far has been very positive. Summer programs were once again well supported with 350 participants, with 1,915 learning and reading activities taking place, and 1,662 take-home kits were distributed. And the adult book club went over very well this summer as well. 5 new interns were hired for the summer, and they allowed us to provide 200 one-on-one individual training sessions. We were also able to hire 1 new student who started the first week of September for 14 weeks. The One Card project is now known as the Same Page project. It is the public-facing name of the online platform for searching the library collection. Their website should be up and running by November of this year. Cooperation between all regions has been very good, and they have agreed to make investments in circulation as their stats are improving. Just for example, from April to August of 2019, they had 9,699. From April to August 2020, they had 13,659, which is an increase of over 4%. And then from April to August of 2021, they had an additional 15,704 for 15%. So launch for this entire project is February 24th, 2022. Policy, diversity, and inclusive workshop is being planned to help work on this issue. All 8 regional libraries are on board, and the recently learned provincial library is paying the cost. Accessibility Plan Committee continue to work on this issue. Funding is in place for branch audits. The RFP will go out soon. They are tackling each segment of the plan and are now working on transportation. We did have a good discussion concerning all the accessibility committees we have in our respective areas. So it only makes sense to share whatever information we can. Eric will contact our CAOs to make sure we have the opportunities to work together. We should no need to reinvent the wheel, as it only makes sense to share information. We discussed phase 5 reopening and have a policy in place for making sure staff are vaccinated, or if not, we'll follow the procedures in place for unvaccinated. Library Development Fund application help us as we come out of COVID and revise our vision, which could cost approximately $40,000. We have the introduction of the video conferencing, the accessibility opportunities, make sure there are no barriers for our disabled. The one-step program has the potential to cost $75,000 to $80,000 to drive for the increase in book loading across our 8 regions. The cost will be absorbed by this fund for the first year. Hopefully, the province will look after this additional cost after year 1. We saw a huge increase in our budget renewal for Blue Cross this year, with a great deal of negotiating, but have finally agreed to a 25.6% increase, which we feel we can absorb, and our next meeting is scheduled for November 4th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Warden. Are there any questions for Councilor Warden on our report? See, hearing none, I have one. So we're talking about vaccinations and passports and all that. And I thought I read in the paper today that libraries, you don't require a passport anywhere, or whatever we call it here, a policy paper. Is that true?
No, they go into the library, the public only show them, but your staff have to confirm that they are vaccinated.
Do the staff have to confirm they're vaccinated by a certain date, is it?
Yes, we're there, so it's, they have to show the vaccine, make sure they are vaccinated, and if not, they have a protocol in place for employees that are not vaccinated.
But you still allowed to work there if you're not vaccinated then?
As long as you agree with the policy. But then we're practicing
Yeah,
this. I think it's testing twice a week and wearing a mask.
Yeah, there is a way you can still work at the library and not be
Yes,
vaccinated.
as
Some
long as
other
you
places I know you're not gonna have that confirmed.
As long as you follow the protocol.
Okay, just wondering, I did read that libraries were one of the ones that didn't need it, like restaurants and stuff. You have to present your passport, but libraries you don't have. Okay, and the next report is also Councilor Warden on our NSF network.
We met virtually September the 17th. We had a presentation from the Minister of Municipal Affairs, John Lar, along with the Deputy Minister, Paul Flash, and Mark Peck. Minister Lord will be visiting all municipalities starting September 28th. He plans to renegotiate the MOU for equalization payments to municipalities. It was last updated in 1994, but there seems to be some confusion here over the MOU and our service agreement. We're not sure if everything is under review or not. He's looking at the MGA and Halifax charters and housing. There's a sense of urgency for this issue and he wants to work with us for solutions. If you have the opportunity to read the minister's letter, you will see it did not contain reference to the EPR, which is very disappointing, as this was one of our top resolutions. And a great deal of work has been done on this, but we're not really sure where it's going to go from here. It needs a collaboration with municipal affairs. And we're still waiting to see what the revised code of conduct will look like. We tried to point out we have a whole team to work with him in his office, and we hope that at some point they do hear us. One year process, there would be a joint work meeting with the ANA concerning the mandate letter from the minister. We need to be working together if this is going to be a major change for our municipalities. Another item we brought forward was the opportunity to be better prepared and notified of changes due to COVID. We will try to communicate this issue to public health as a group that handles that. We also had a presentation from Kathy Gillis and Hugh Fraser from Property and Valuation Services. This covers the full calendar year of 2020. The residential value is up, but remember we do have the cap. The commercial, we're seeing a decrease for hotels and motels, but an increase for industrial parks. It seems to be a very strange economy happening. We have the cap impact and the CPI is trending for the past 4 months at 4%. Overall, the 11 municipalities should see an increase of approximately 8%, with differences between communities. Offices have remained stable even with COVID. Nursing homes, retirement homes have remained fairly stable. And like I said, hotels, motels have been hit the hardest with an expected drop by 15 to 25%. And exactly what gave us an 11% increase plus the 4% cap could be a large increase. If this is something council would like to have more information, they are very willing to come out and do a presentation for us. The NSF now has cyber insurance coverage, which is very important in the event we are hacked. Our auditor's proposal has been much higher, up $15,000, so we're now dealing with that issue. West Cancer indicated they would like to move to a regional office. This could have some long-term implications, so we're planning a board retreat to deal with some of the issues concerning the makeup of our NSFM. So if anyone has any ideas for what they would like to see in our structure, please have them along to me so I can present them at the retreat we just scheduled for October 13 and 14 in Toronto. And this will be the first time we're going to face-to-face board meeting, so I'm looking forward to that. We were given the draft terms of reference for the Canwell project with the FCM. This project aims to address the systemic barriers that women face running for the municipal office, while also improving the context and environment once they're elected. And again, if anyone wants to see the terms, you can just contact me and I'll forward them to you. I'll remind you that registration is now open for our fall conference, November 3rd and 4th. Please consider registering for this event. Julie and her team have worked very hard to put together a program that can work virtually for us. And finally, I was able to attend a workshop called Work Together for Clean Energy with Peter Gray from Nova Scotia Power. It was a really good and informative presentation to showcase some of the work already done and being worked on by NSP. Our climate change committee would certainly benefit from having a presentation done by Mr. Gray, who will explain the clean energy transition as Emera works to have net zero emissions by 2050. He spoke of the Atlantic Loop, which was the maritime link to Newfoundland and Brunswick and Quebec. The new meter system to help customers understand the use of power and time of day savings. He spoke to community solar gardens, electric vehicles, electric buses for transit, bi-directional charges, I'm sorry, and the list was quite lengthy. So they do want to collaborate with municipalities, so it would be a great opportunity to have them speak to our council or to our climate committee in particular. And again, if anyone is interested, I can forward you his contact information.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Warren. Is there any questions within the FM report for Councilor Warren? But I do want to make one remark more than a question. I attended a meeting a few days ago of Divert Nova Scotia, and they had met with Minister Lohr over this same EPR for PPP. And they were quite, they were disappointed too that it wasn't a mandate letter, but they were quite optimistic following that meeting with him and his staff that this was going to be a priority. That they were going to deal with, whether it was in a mandate letter or not, or they came away from it feeling very positive. So that's, you know, hopeful anyway, even though it wasn't in the mandate letter. Go ahead, Councilor Boyles.
Just on Nova Scotia Power there, we are working with the climate change committees, working with Lisa Lane from Nova Scotia Power. We've got some literature and stuff, and so they want to sort of team up with us, which is good.
Okay, sounds good. And perhaps if you have some information, Councilor Boyles, you could forward it to Councilor Boyles. He shares that committee. The more information we have, the better. Okay, that's the end of our report for tonight. So we're going to move on to our resolutions. And the first one is municipal grants. Councilor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Resolution be resolved by municipal council. Municipality of County Pictou, the council approves the payment of the following municipal grants. Municipal services, District 4 John Community Action Society, $600 for farmers market expenses. District 11 East River St. Mary's Fire Department, $1,500 operating expenses. Moose River Cemetery, $400 operating expenses. SPI 4-H Club, $500 program expenses. And trustees of the Springville Presbyterian Church, $3,400 for ramp, electric door opener, and painting. And District 12, the Eureka District 12, volunteer fire department, $4,100 operating expenses for a total of $10,500 dated at Nova Scotia this 4th day of October 2021. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Chesterfield.
So seconded.
Hey, I've heard the motion on the municipal service grants. Moved and seconded. Are any questions on that resolution? Okay, I don't see any hands going, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Carried. And their second and third ones, I guess, are both Councilor Palmer, who with their planning strategy and the land use bylaw, which we did have a meeting, you'll remember, last month, I guess it is now, on our new Twin Tower bylaws. This is the second reading, and so I'll let Councilor Palmer go ahead with those two, or one at a time, I guess, we'll do the municipal planning strategy first.
Thank you, Ward. Resolution, municipal planning strategy. Second reading. Be resolved by the municipal council of the municipality of County Pecos that the municipal planning strategy of the municipality adopted by municipal council on September 10th, 2007 is hereby amended as follows. I will read it all. Stated at Pecos, Nova Scotia, this board day of October 2021, moved by myself, Councilor Randy Palmer, and seconded by Councilor Deborah Water.
Okay, that's our second reading for municipal planning strategy. So we'll come back to our November meeting at that time. I think we can pass it. Oh, once we pass it tonight, I just want to clarify that for everybody. It goes to the province to make sure it doesn't conflict with any municipal government. So that's the next step. And what's the final step? After that?
Once the minister or the director of planning says that it is clear of any conflict with provincial law, they basically give us notice of that, and then we advertise it again in the paper that it has force of law as of whatever date we have to do the paper.
Okay, it's just for letting people know at that point. But this is the final
This
reading,
is the final.
Other than going to the government and notifying people of it. Okay, that makes it even more important. Are there any questions on that strategy, municipal planning strategy? Okay, so let's vote on that one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Now we'll do the accompanying one, which is the land use bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Ward. Resolution, land use bylaw, second reading. Be resolved that the municipal council for the municipality of the county of Pecos, the council adopt the following wind energy bylaw. Same, I'm not going to read the 24 pages.
What?
Well, I could if you want to. Dated Pecos, Nova Scotia, this fourth day of October 2021. Moved by myself, Councilor Randy Palmer, second by Councilor David Carter.
So second it?
Okay, so this is the accompanying piece that tells all the details of the new land use bylaw for our wind towers. And just before we had the vote, I want to say that again that the committee worked very hard to come up with this, try to be fair to landowners and fair to wind energy companies. And so I think that shows in what we have here. Okay, so if there's no questions on that land use bylaw, we'll go to the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, thank you for getting those on, sir. This is very important to some people for sure that are living with these wind towers. It's almost passes through and you don't sense the importance of to some people. And to more people as we move forward, there will be more wind energy developed in this county. I don't have any doubt about that. Our final resolution is the New Scotland loan guarantee. Are you with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Warden. I presume everybody has read the memo from Brian regarding the background, so I'll just read the resolution. Municipality of the County of Pictou Guarantee Resolution, $3,125,000. New Scotland Business Development Incorporated. Whereas the New Scotland Business Development Incorporated, here and thereafter referred to NSBDI, was incorporated on December 31st, 2014, pursuant to Section 60 of the Municipal Government Act. And whereas NSBDI is determined to borrow the aggregate principal amount of $6,250,000 for the purpose of the purchase of the lands of the development of a business park, and is applied to the municipality of the County of Pictou for its guarantee of share of the borrowing. And whereas NSBDI has requested the municipality of the County of Pictou, one of the municipalities that executed the instrument of incorporation of the NSBDI, to guarantee the said borrowing. And whereas Section 88 of the Municipal Government Act provides that no guarantee of a borrowing by a municipality shall have effect unless the minister has approved of the proposed borrowings or the debenture and of the proposed guaranteed, be it therefore resolved that the municipality of the county of Pictou does hereby approve the borrowings of $6,250,000 for the purpose set out above. That subject to the approval of the Minister of Municipal Affairs of the borrowing by NSBDI, that the approval of the Minister of Municipal Affairs of the guarantee, the municipality of the county of Pictou unconditionally guarantees repayment of $3,125,000 of the principal and the interest of the borrowings of $6,250,000 for the purpose set out above, and that upon the issue of the temporary borrowing resolution, the warden and the chief administrative officer, clerk of the municipality of the county of Pictou do sign the guarantee and attach it to the temporary borrowing resolution of the NSBDI and affix the seal of the municipality of the county of Pictou. Now, there's no place for me to motion this, so how do we deal with that?
Just move it.
I move it? Okay, I move it, and I look for someone to second it, please.
Okay, moving on, seconded, then the borrowing resolution for NSBDI. Are there any questions on that resolution? Go ahead, Councilor Brooks.
I just, it's between us and New Glasgow, is it they're borrowing the other half? So is there a chance that the minister could say, okay, for one and not the other, or is this pretty well out the done deal?
The minister would approve both. As the memo said, guarantees don't expire, so the original guarantee would, in theory, still be there. But the staff at Department of Municipal Affairs have just asked to clean it up, so have the guarantees and the borrowing resolution have the same year basically on it. So it's just really a formality. Their opinion was that if you went to a financial institution, that the financial institution might have an issue with it. We've already shared the original guarantee with the financial institution and they didn't have a problem with it, but it's one of those cases the department's asked for it. So
It's called housekeeping.
it's called housekeeping, so.
Nothing changes from the way it is now. Okay, is there any questions again on that? I don't think there was, other than Councilor Boyle. No other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Against? Motion carried. Thank you, Councilor Turner. So now we'll move on to a letter of support for healthcare providers, and Councilor Dave Parker, you asked for this the other day.
Thank you, Board Parker. I recently had, unfortunately, the opportunity to visit the COVID testing station in Glasgow because COVID came very close to us. I was really impressed with the way they were dressed. I pull out better than my broken mask. But I was impressed with their attitude. They were dealing with dozens, maybe more people every hour that had potential exposure, and that they therefore were potentially exposed. And I thought, they've been doing this every day for months, and there's thousands of these tests going into the testing facilities that lose in Halifax, and they're doing that every day, 7 days a week. Processing thousands and thousands of tests. As we've seen lately, more of them have come back positive. So those people are literally risking their health every day to try to make our society safer. And 15 months ago or more, we were hailing our nurses and other frontline workers as heroes, rightly so. And they've had to continue that for months and months and months and months. Some of them wore down. Some of them have taken early retirement. Some of them have had to take a break because they were so exhausted. Okay? It's not just here. And here in Nova Scotia, for the most part, we've been more respectful. There are a couple of cases, and then Premier rightly called them out. But I think it's important that we as community leaders send a message to those people that have been working day after day, week after week, month after month, risking their health, mental and physical, to try to make our society safe. So I'm asking to send a letter now. I've only got one name here, Janet Hazelton. She is the president of the Nova Scotia Nurses Union. But in that letter, I'd like to express our appreciation to respiratory therapists, those who are working in COVID testing, all of those that are working tirelessly. You can't work tirelessly. They're working continuously to try to keep us as safe as possible. They need our support. They need to hear from elected officials and somebody that is us that we appreciate their work. Because there are others out there, particularly on social media, who are attacking them. And they're just doing what they've been asked to do, and they're doing it very well, I think. That's why I'm asking that we send a letter that expresses our thanks, particularly to the nurses, but also to the other groups that are working to keep us safe. They know there is broad spread support for their efforts. I don't know if that needs to be motion or not.
I think it would be better to make a motion.
Well, also move.
And we have a second, and that's a motion, seconded by Councilor Butler. I don't think there's any doubt that we owe a huge thanks to these people who have, put their families at some risk when they go to work every day, mixing with all kinds of people and everything, and then come back to their homes. So there's that side of it as well. Go ahead, Councilor Forrest.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing, but just have to say this too. I have a vaccination, so I'm all for it. I think we all should, but I ran into some care workers, that ambulance drivers, stuff like that are told that if they don't have the vaccination by October or whatever, or November, that their job is gone. And they're coming up, they're saying that, why don't we test them every shift or every, rather than take, I'm just wondering what a strain on the healthcare and the people, that we do need these people out there, should we not be trying to look for a solution there too also? Thank you.
Okay, that is a different issue, but, we'll deal with this one here now, which is basically a thank you to the healthcare workers. Any other comments on that before I call for the vote? Okay, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? That motion is carried. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the one I asked you to have added, which is to do with the dialysis. And we did send a letter from here after a vote. And I believe it was Councilor Wells that brought it up about dialysis to be added to the Aberdeen, and we did receive a letter back from that, I think, Carol. Basically, can you sort of summarize what they said?
The letter basically said that there were no imminent plans to provide service at the Aberdeen. There was a focus on more regionalized locations throughout the province. I think they referred to them as satellite offices or something like that. And so that no individual would have to travel an undue distance for service. But then there was a mention of the fact that there was service at Southern Harris, but no plans to add additional beds or chairs, I guess, at the Aberdeen.
Okay, so that's sort of where that one went, but I want to read you an email that came out this afternoon. It was initiated by Joe McDonald, the request that he sent to all councillors, all mayors and wardens. Says I personally am very familiar with this issue, which now I did the wrong one, so Rick just replied. The one sent by Joe McDonald this afternoon, would it be possible for your council to send a letter to the new provincial government about getting more seats in Victor County for dialysis? Currently, residents of Victor County have to drive to Halifax due to seats in Victor County and additional rural being full. They usually need dialysis 3 times a week. Any help in this matter would be greatly appreciated. And this is not for my family, it's for friends and residents in Victor County. That was the one that sort of got the ball rolling, and several of the mayors said that they would bring it to their councils at the next meeting date. But I want to read you the one from Danny McGilvery, because he's also the job as mayor of Selwyn, he's also the head of CHAD. Hi Joe, I personally am very familiar with this issue. As CHAD Transit takes people to Antigonish, Truro, and sometimes Halifax for dialysis 3 times a week, like you said. I am the executive director of CHAD Transit, as the mayor of Selwyn. Province grants CHAD to help subsidize rides for those who can't afford the full fee. A client needing to go to Halifax for dialysis would be $1,020 a week for CHAD to take. Very expensive, so the province does help. The money they granted us, $18,686, was from April 1st of 2020 to March 31st of 2022. We have burned through the entire amount by mid-August. CHAD Transit itself is now subsidizing the rides, and it adds up quickly. At the moment, we are taking 4 clients to Antigonish 3 times a week, $630 weekly per client. We also take 1 client who took the dialysis, but that charge is only $55.50 per week. More chairs in Victor County makes sense for on a number of levels. So I just wanted to bring that to council tonight because it's sort of fresh there right now, and it follows up on what Council Boyle brought before. But this is a request rather than for the Aberdeen is to have more seats in Petro. I don't know, maybe somebody else knows better than I do if there's room. You know, Peter?
Well, the thing is, if you look at regulations, the regulations says now that if you want to set up dialysis machines, there has to be an emergency department there. Hector doesn't have a department, so they're grandfathered. You can never put any more there unless you get the emergency room. The Aberdeen Hospital has an emergency room. They have the space for the chairs and everything. So that's a no-brainer. They also said that when they, I think in that letter that was sent that once they opened up these other satellite offices, that was going to take the strain off of Pepto, and so it wouldn't be so bad. Well, that's a bunch of crap too, because it's not taking nothing off. But we looked into this, and I mean, they need chairs in the Aberdeen Hospital so these people don't going to be traveling all over the place here from Victor County.
They have turned us down in the letter that we sent for the Aberdeen Hospital. They haven't turned us down on Petro. I know what you're saying is that no, you can't put more seats in unless there's an emergency department. Petro doesn't have it. I don't think they've said that to us yet. We didn't ask for Petro. This request is for Petro because we've been turned down for the Aberdeen. Go ahead, Councilor Keel.
Just a clarification, is this letter coming from the mayors and wardens? Is that what you're looking for, is to have that agreement with council to send a letter with the other mayors and wardens, or is this a letter coming from directly from council itself?
Well, it's our choice around here. I think at this point, this just came up this afternoon, so now there was one from, I believe it was from the mayor of Westville. I anticipate support from our council on this, and I wonder if it'd be best to have individual letters or letters signed by all, which is what you're pointing out there. So I think if we all agree, then maybe a letter from all of us might have more effect together. That's providing we get agreement from everybody else, because just what I'm reading from some of the mayors there, I'm pretty sure there would be agreement from everybody. It does tend to have a bit more effect if it's from the whole county, but we could agree here tonight. Let me take it forward to to the mayors to get a joint But you know, when you look at the amount of dollars being spent on Chad, to deliver people back and forth, that's just standing in on Halifax. You can imagine what it would be, but they burned through all the provincial money and, now it's coming out of the Chad budget, but you know, Chad runs short, where they go back to the counties. Go ahead, Councilor Brooks.
Yeah, just to turn around and I talked to the new premier on this, many times too. And now that we do have a new government, maybe they will listen, maybe they'll see the need and maybe do something. So I don't think it's even prudent to send, you know, a copy to our MLAs.
Yeah, we need to go at every angle here, I think, you know, and as far as we're concerned, we need them in Victor County, whether they put them in Victor or put them in Glasgow, you know, we just need them in Victor County is what we need here. We can, if Jan can move people around, as Danny said, very cheaply, if we're just going from one side of the county to the other, whatever. So when we start going over the county, I couldn't believe the figures there, what the cost was for one patient per week. You know, I'm not sure how they didn't burn through that 18,000 a lot quicker. That was for a year and a half or more. So it's a dire situation because if you're a person that needs dialysis, that's the only thing that's keeping you alive. I mean, and 3 times a week, and these people are going through tremendous strain. You know, anything I've heard, you're pretty well awake the next day. If you do dialysis the day before, if you're going 3 times a week, that means the next day you're awake. So it's only gives you 1 day a week that you're not awake, or going for more dialysis. So this is an important thing that we can't control as a council. All we can do is ask of the Minister of Health with somebody wants to make that motion. You know, that we ask the mayors to sign, that we agree to sign that joint letter to ask for more dialysis seats in Victor County.
Make the motion.
Okay. Oh, sorry. The other word's already reminded me 3 times. Councilor Elliott, I missed you when I went back. Councilor McGee was there, and I forgot you were there too.
Thank you. I don't think it's up for any of us to decide if we can or can't. And with the change in government, I think it's our duty to put a letter forward, whether it's as council or individual, to support it, because these people, and I've received the same emails and text messages as you have, and the importance of this is these people are fighting for their lives. And not only are they fighting for their lives, they're out there in the work world trying to maintain their job just like everybody else, and they're spending their money on traveling. Any traveling outside Victor County is too far. We need those seats in Victor County yesterday. And I'm going to write my own letter, and I suggest and hope that all of you here will do the same. We're going to get the ball rolling. The government says they're going to do change. Let's stand behind it. People who need this, and get it done.
Well said. We need I'd like to have a motion anyway that we send this letter. I do have a council, sorry. I need a second report, and Mary or Councilor Elliott trying to second that. The move will be to, if the rest of the councils agree jointly with us, then there will be a joint letter through the letter will go to the Minister of Health, copy to our 3 MLAs. Is that right?
I wonder if it would be good to turn around and have the joint one if they'll do it. But also have one from our, you know, and as Mary said, if every council wrote, that'd be a big.
Okay, what's your feeling around the council table? Do you think we should have our own plus the joint one, or a lot of times you have more effect as a joint one, I know, but go ahead, Councilor.
Could we include our MLA and our premier? CC it to all of them.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, everybody.
CC's 2 or 3, I meant
Include
3.
them all.
Well, once the premier, but anyway, that was the idea, was to send to the Minister of Health as well as our, they're similar MLAs, no matter what else there. Do you think you would rather just send the one letter if the other, if the 5 mayors are in agreement, or do we send a separate letter plus the joint?
Like both of myself, I don't.
Individual preference.
Councilor Butler.
I think that the one with the joint voice carries more weight. The other point I'd like to make is that they talk about regional offices for treatment. I don't think they're going to put 2 different treatment centers in one county, but
maybe we're leaving it open with the motion we have now, just to say
I
that
think
we are.
rather than us make the decision between, just say that we need, not we need more seats straight away, as Mary said. So I guess I tend to agree with Councilor Butler that if we can get a joint letter, I think that carries the most weight. Could send one of our own as well, but I don't know if it carries as much weight for sure. So would you be willing to have the motion that we send a joint letter with the mayor that they're not in agreement? Then fine, we send our own. Okay, and Mary, is that all right with you?
Sure.
Okay, so that's what the motion will be then, that we send a joint letter with the 5 other municipalities in our county to do with the emergency situation, we'll call it, to do with the dialysis in Pickett County and the need for more spaces. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, now we'll move on to the rest of H. So we had the vaccination among the firefighters, I guess, was the first one that came up with Council David.
I had a call from a firefighter this evening, and he wanted to know if we had a policy. We, the municipality, had a policy for fire departments. I said, no, we do not, I know of. And his concern was that there may be firefighters who were called to say medical first response, and then a person's home, or a person in a compromised health situation, and they may not be vaccinated. And I said, well, the best I think we can do is to ask Dr. Strand verification. What is the directive that's issued for all 5 other groups on firefighters, particularly firefighters that are offering medical first response? So they're actually going into someone's home and carrying them out, or working with them, not necessarily fighting a fire, but for firefighters that are offering medical first response.
Do we know for sure whether there is or isn't anything right now?
Well, I checked.
It is not.
On the record, I couldn't find it. It's there for a whole lot of different groups. Firefighters are not one of the main groups.
Okay, so that's the request from somebody to Councilor Dave Parker. What's the feeling around the room? Anybody get any feelings on that one way or another? Whether we should, I guess the request is to ask Dr. Strang to order issue a directive rather than us trying to issue that directive.
We don't have that authority.
No. Okay, you want to make that a motion then, Councilor Parker?
Sure, that's what it takes.
I think we need a motion to send a letter to Dr. Strang to that effect. Is there a seconder for the motion? Okay, Councilor Elliott seconds the motion. Is there discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see what comes out of that one, so I can tell the individuals that we're sending a letter requesting that he clarify that situation. Now, I know there was 2 others to do with vaccination. I think Councilor Palmer, you were first.
Thank you, Ward. Just that on the way down here, I had a discussion with another arena in the county. They were wondering how we're handling our clients that enter the rink. So then you're supposed to be double vaccinated, right? So our small arenas, we have 1 employee working for the shift. We have no other employees working. So that employee is doing other duties, and we have no way of having somebody at the door. So we talked about, whoever rents the ice would be their responsibility to police that themselves. So I said that I'd find out here tonight that just what is the county law center doing in that regard. So they have somebody at the door checking people that are coming in, or see if they're double vaccinated, or are they living right up to the person that's the
You know what's going on there. I suspect they're going to be checking people at the door, but I don't know who's in charge of that. If it's the person renting the ice or the person that's working at the wellness center, but the more people there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the wellness center is doing it on the weekend, if it's a user
You,
or minor pocket.
is that a, do you have that as in your policy, or over that new policy for the wellness center, or is it? The reason I'm asking is a $10,000 fine for the first offense, and $25,000 for the second one. So 10,000 will close.
Okay, well, then, Carolyn?
Just as I was coming up to this meeting tonight, I have to pick up my emails if anybody's not attending the meeting tonight, and there was yet again more information from the province on proof of vaccination. So I just scanned it and it says checking proof of full vaccination. Who is responsible to check proof? Some businesses and organizations that host events and activities under section 3.1 of this protocol rent or use space in the building. In these cases, there is a joint responsibility between the organization and the building owner manager. The building owner manager needs to ensure renters and users of their space have proper processes in place for checking proof of full vaccination purchases in these events and activities. They can accomplish this through their rental agreement. In cases where the renter or user of the owner manager is not willing or capable of implementing a proper process for checking participants' proof of full vaccination, the owner/manager will be held responsible if there is demonstrated non-compliance with this protocol. If the owner manager does not wish to take on that responsibility, they should not rent the space or make it available to the event or activity. The owner manager cannot have the renter or user of the space sign a waiver absolving them of responsibility.
Okay. Can you send that to me?
Sure.
You want?
Sounds like it can be turned over to the,
Yeah, we had an agreement signed by the rest, no users last year, so it looks like that's the same.
looks like it's the same deal, yeah.
Yeah, no, nobody really knew how to handle the situation.
This is the second version of this I've got today.
Second version.
So, yeah.
Stay tuned. Just go ahead, now, Gail.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I would assume it would be something similar to be in place last year. I know this is something that, obviously as chairperson of the Hectorian, this is something that we've obviously discussed as well. And, there is, I think, first of all, that there is public awareness that in order to be in public spaces, that you have to be double vaccinated. So we're hoping that people do what they're supposed to do and not try to sneak in. And there's always somebody, but hopefully that with education that people are aware. The second thing is, as a parent going through minor hockey last year, and also as in the position with the Hector Arena, I saw firsthand what the responsibilities were for the organization in order to come into the rink. You had, as a parent, I had to check in with our safety rep. All hockey teams now have a safety rep, and say who was coming to the rink with the child, because you only had one parent that was allowed to come, and check in and do your COVID check. And that happened for every team, the County Motor Hockey and other hockey organizations that do play within the county. So I haven't heard anything from Pictou County Minor Hockey. I don't know if you have, Councillor Palmer, what their plan is for this year. So I'm hoping that they have some similar protocols in place. We're still waiting to hear on that, but Caroline would also like to have a copy of that as well. I'm not sure with free skates and that sort of thing. I know in the past we had volunteers that would sit at the door and just make sure everybody signed in for contact tracing in the past. So, it does put a lot of onus on rinks and volunteers to see to keep, I guess, to check and make sure everything is done properly. So I guess hopefully there'll be some more mandates or a plan at least coming out from groups that do frequent our arenas and rinks on
basis.
Okay, any other comments or questions on the rink situation? I think we have an answer to what Councilor Power is looking for anyway. I think is that it is something, you know, especially when they only have one employee that can be turned over to the group that's using the rink, be their responsibility. But it still comes back on the rink, and in the end, if it's a fine, who gets the fine for $10,000? You know, if the people don't carry through on what they're asked to do, I guess.
Just on that one. And that's what's happened last year too. It started off with, and all of a sudden, it lasts. And nobody was at the door checking. The user was supposed to have somebody at the door all the time. They never had that. They just said, oh, we'll check in with the safety officer. There's other people walking in and out of the rink, right? So, you know, you gotta make sure that there's somebody there at all times.
And I think the owners of the rink, you just have to be heard about
It just seems like this phase 5 is more strict than phase 4. I think we would be better staying in phase 4 as a non-essential service, because it seems like there's more restrictions now and more onus on
the business owner too, very similar to the rinks, business owners are feeling weight of it.
So, you know, I think we would be better off staying in phase 4.
That's gonna happen. No. Okay, and I think Councilor Thompson, you read the final one, was more to do with here, I think.
I guess this all sort of came up when Carolyn sent around our meeting package on Friday. At the bottom of the email was proof of vaccination will not be required as council meetings are specifically exempted from that requirement. I had a discussion with Carolyn this morning about this. And there was some mention of that in the directive from the province, and I think the directive was in our Monday memo from NSFM. Legislatively required meetings where public participation cannot be done virtually, such as municipal council meetings where citizens have a democratic right to participate, do not require proof of vaccination. So I guess we don't have a vaccination policy right now as a municipality outside of what the province is directing us. Is that correct? Is that a fair comment? So, and it was talked about earlier, we as community leaders need to take a leadership role. Councilor Parker mentioned that when he was talking about the letter of support for healthcare providers. I'm a little perplexed by this because we are supposed to be leaders in the community and we don't have any policy around us as a council. And I guess I'll put this on the floor. We can discuss this as a motion. A motion for council to adopt a COVID proof of vaccination policy for council and staff, double vaccinated, or proof of medical exemption. That would be take part in meetings like this tonight. This is the other option for councilors. I feel comfortable with that is they can log in virtually. So I'll make that a motion. We come up with a vaccination policy, proof of vaccination policy for our council.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to require double vaccination at our meetings or at any meetings here. I guess is that you're saying just at our council meetings, committee meetings, or okay, that's not any meetings in here. This is our council meetings, and that would include then anybody else that comes into the room, like the press or the guests or observers or whatever, would all be treated the same. You're saying?
Well, this is where the sort of the conundrum happens, because if you look at the directive from the province, it says legislative we require meetings where public participation cannot be done virtually, such as municipal council meetings where citizens have a democratic right to participate, do not require vaccination. So the way I interpret that is that if a guest comes, say we had a hearing tonight, nobody showed up, but they could have came here unvaccinated. But as council, we should be vaccinated. Vaccination, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
According to the way that reads to me, we can't bar anybody that wants to attend the meetings. It's one of those things that we're all Americans, but.
Because it seems odd to me that we would have maybe 3 or 4 sit down there that are allowed in that aren't vaccinated.
I don't agree.
And yet we're going to pass something saying everybody around the table needs to be double vaccinated. You know, it's something our CAO said we need legal opinion on.
If I could add this, on the news this evening, the House leaders for the 3 parties, along with the independent member of the legislature, approved the policy tonight. And all MLAs need to have proof of double vaccination or medical exemption. So they've already agreed to that. I don't know why we can't follow suit.
Okay, I've got Councilor Wyden and then Councilor Digger. Oh, sorry, I didn't get a second. There's a different one. Okay, you're, did you want to speak on it just a second? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Councilor Thompson. A couple weeks ago, I had requested that we look into putting a vaccination policy in effect. I thought staff was still working on that. I don't disagree with one thing that's in all of this. The library is a perfect example. We got at the board to make sure double vax, and we have to make sure all staff is double vax for some protocol and we're not vaccinated to move on the road. But people coming in, government getting requested with vax. So people coming in anywhere and having their vax. But I think it just shows common sense that we do want people to vaccinate, and I think, like you said, really by example. And that's, I don't think it's a big deal. We don't have to. All we have to do is either show Ryan or Karen Rogers says that we need to see our ID. They would see it, and that would be okay. That's the end of that. And again, we have to have something in place for people who medically can't have the vaccines or who do not want to get the vaccine. We have to cover that up. But I think we definitely should look at doing that.
Okay, just to be clear, Councilor Wyden, you're saying that there should be another road for those that don't want to, not talking about the medical ones, that there is at the library said another road for those that don't want to be double vaccinated.
If they have good reason, if they have a medical reason.
Oh, only with a medical reason.
If they just refuse to be vaccinated, that's different.
That's
There's I think provincial guidelines there, but for people that can't get the vaccine, we definitely put something in place for that. Okay,
because there are some groups or whatever that say, okay, you've got to be double vaccinated. If you're not going to, you've got to be tested every day or something. You're not talking that. You're only talking something different for the ones that medically can't.
Right.
That's how it works at the library.
Exactly. Well, just assuming you don't want the vaccines because you're medical reason. Otherwise, if you just don't want the vaccine, it's a problem.
Okay, Councilor Digger.
Thank you, Warden Farrer. I was asking for clarification. So this motion is to say that the councilors have to be vaccinated and our staff. What does that mean? Does that mean the people who work in this building? Does it mean the public works department that work outside the building? Yeah, I think we do need to be clear. I think we do need to show leadership. That if you want to work with the public. And there's also another issue that most people haven't yet considered. And that is the safety of staff. Some areas are saying, well, it's okay if you get a test twice a week or whatever. My question is one of liability. If we allow that loophole and somebody gets sick, for instance, if someone in the building and they get sick or worse, And what is our liability? Have we covered ourselves? We had this very debate in Riverton last Thursday, and our conclusion was, in order to protect the organization, we had to insist that all that work there were vaccinated. No loopholes. Now, I'm looking at Deputy Warden Murray. There is a medical exemption. Okay, but not, well, I don't want to take it. We're only, the last time I checked, we're only 82%. I mean, that's not good enough. We don't want basically 1 out of 5 being possible vectors to bring this disease into our staff. So we're setting a deadline. Now, the good news is, just around the time you track the policy, the Premier said that anyway. You work in a long-term care facility, a residential facility, that's what we're considered, you have to be vaccinated. Period. Not, you will be suspended without pay. We do have to consider, and this is why I argue that we don't allow loopholes. Double vax, prove it, you're good to go. Otherwise, you might want to go for a different line of work.
Okay, I think, go ahead, Jonathan.
I think before we put that all staff have to be vaccinated, I think we're going to get legal into on that, because I'm not sure legally we're allowed to do that.
And that's what the CAO said to me earlier, and we have to check with the union, see where they're at.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't want to see anybody losing their job.
I don't want to see anyone die.
Yeah, I search if you're, well, you know, if you're double vaccinated, you're not 100% protected, but you're 89 or whatever. It's the person that's not vaccinated, they're putting themselves at risk. Not so much as the people that work here, but the other, but they're themselves. So, but I do believe we have to look at legal opinion. Sure.
I think we need to work with our union and the legal opinion. I think, but we can't really, as Brian said before, this is just a directive to look into this, but it's if we want to told and heard that this is going to happen, then perhaps we should stick to the councilors for now, sitting on, we're not going to be able to affect the people sitting back there. And we're not sure on the staff at this point till we check it out legally. Union wise, perhaps the one thing we can do amongst ourselves is set a policy that all councilors have to be double vaccinated in order to participate here. It's not an opposition to participate virtually if you choose not to get double vaccinated. So maybe that's where the motion needs to be, that we can actually, do tonight as to our next.
You have to give notice in order to adopt policy. You have to give notice to do it. I think.
Okay.
It's, I guess from the staff perspective, it's not an issue at the staff level.
Okay.
On the double vaccination.
Already looked at.
It's already. From a compliance standpoint, I guess, 100%.
But it still has to be, you give notice of motion tonight then, rather than a motion, I'm going to say council one person, come back to you.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify, because with the library, if you're double vaccinated, if your medical reason for not being vaccinated, you have the option of getting tested twice a week. But those home kits that have office supplies at home kits, plus you wear a mask. If you refuse to get vaccinated, then you are suspended, I'm not suspended, but you are working.
Yeah, it's same as the private sector, you're not given other options.
Medically, this thing doesn't cover.
Yeah, it is very similar to what we've heard, I think, across the province. Go ahead, Councilor.
So just on that, then, if you want to amend,
I think we're gonna have to kind of review.
so let's break it into two pieces and have notice of motion that council adopt a double vaccination policy
Or pass.
asterisk beside anybody with a medical exemption. Okay? And the second one would be to have a legal review of the whole vaccination, proof of vaccination policy for staff. Because I know there's in the private sector, I know of people listeners also for this. And it's a crying shame that it comes to that. But, again, we was going to send a message that this is important. And I think that's, so I make that amendment.
Let's deal with the first motion, and the first motion is to first reading of the policy for all councilors to be implemented.
Or if they exempt.
Except for medical reasons.
Exempt from that, yes.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor Gates.
I just have a question, like, I don't know how to word this, but is it necessary if everybody already is, if everybody's already in compliance? Like, how do we, if everybody's already in compliance, do we need a motion to do that, or is it setting a precedent for moving forward?
I think this would set a policy that moving forward, it would have to be worded, the policy would have to be worded in such a way that maybe it wasn't just for COVID-19, for future pandemics or whatever, so that I don't want to go around the table here tonight and ask everybody to double that.
I know, I understand that.
And that's why if we, Brian's already spoken to our staff, but that's why I think it's a good idea to go ahead with the policy anyway. That way it's a policy, it's not just a decision we made, after discussion. It has more effect as a policy, and it may come into play at some later date, we don't know.
Okay.
So I think that's the value of having it as a policy.
Just clarifying. Thank you.
Okay, so the first motion then is on councilors themselves that being double vaxxed or participating virtually if they do not do, with the medical exemptions. Okay, is there any more questions on that motion? Okay, we'll vote on that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Now, the second motion, do you want to read that one or re-say that one?
I'll try and restate it, and I can correct me if it's necessary.
Oh, just a second.
I don't think that's necessary, because Councillor Wadden made the same thing 2 weeks, or at the last committee, so I think that's covered up.
Investigate.
Investigate that, so I think we're okay there.
We still, it's very similar to the one that we just passed for councilors. We still may want to have it as a policy for future events. Nobody thought we'd be all wearing masks around here 2 years ago or whatever, but here we are. So it's pretty hard to predict where we're going to be in another 2 years. So staff can follow through on that one. Go ahead, Director Wood.
Just for clarification on what about the visitors? Will they be included in that?
Visitors are exempt under the order. You can't impose that, because the order is clear that anybody coming to receive services at a municipal building does not have to provide proof of vaccination, nor if it's somebody in this meeting hall or room, they do not require it. It's an exemption in the act or under the order. It does not apply.
So,
exactly. It doesn't make necessarily sense, but that's the way it's worded. So,
like several councils have said, it's important for us to show the leadership. If the provincial people did it today, which I heard that on the news too, it's important for us, I think, to show the leadership, that around our table, we take this seriously and, we're implementing this policy because of it. Okay, if there's no more, on that subject, we move on to community announcements. Councilor George is ready to jump. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Gordon. At our last meeting, I brought up about the market that they were going to have in Churchville, and it was a real success. And the part that the people that were there were so pleased with the crowd, but they were also so pleased that the warden of the county was there and the premier of Nova Scotia went to Churchville and helped, supported the group, and it's nice to see that after an election or whatever, people are still out trying to help out. So I just want to pass that along, how pleased that they turned out and how pleased that it was a success and how well organized it was. Now, that's one good thing that I wanted to bring up, because it's kind of doom and gloom and a lot of heavy stuff on it. So there's something else I want to bring up here tonight too that's was really important to us or to certain councillors, and we kept bringing it up and bringing it up. So that was the pavement from up the East River west side and East River east side, and the Caledonia Road. Now, that's Sunnybreak, Glencoe, right back down the tree. That loop wasn't fit for anybody unless they had a helmet on to go around there for several years, and like not just applied, it was pity. So we sent letters, this council and the former council, we sent letters about that area. It's likely pretty near, in the next week to 10 days, will be likely the nicest drive you can take up around the East River Valley. It's just like going to Antigonish, but hopefully it's going to say an awful lot safer just because of all the traffic.
You complain about speed.
Speeding.
Well, I'm not talking about speeding because they like to get the wrong people. But anyway, just that was one thing that we did. And that's the same with the Orange Station, the Glengarry Road, and the White Hill Road. It was where the plows tore it up in the winter time. It was pretty well back to dirt roads. The residents in these areas wish there were dirt roads again. But they did a job up there, and it was this council and support of these councillors around the state, and like I said, the former councillors, that got those jobs done in a way. Okay, I know there's a list, but it had to count that we helped, okay? The letters went, and it's like they said 50 times tonight, it's important for us to send letters. And the more letters we send, somebody's going to read them. And if that person on the call says, well, listen, this whole group's for this. It's so important that these people keep bringing it up and bringing it up. And again, 3 times, I got to go through another project that this council worked extremely hard with the Department of Transportation and the Abercrombie Fire Department. I can't believe how fast, after a lot of meetings, but how fast that project's getting looked at right now. And I know there's some holdups and there's this and that, but won't it be wonderful that we don't hear about accidents now? Hopefully it'll be as good as Stellarton or all these other places that have these roundabouts. People learn how to drive them and they've been successful. And that was all part of people around this table helping to make it work. And I'm sure the residents will be very, very thankful for that in Abercrombie, as the residents of District 12 and Upper District 11 are very, very pleased with all the road work and the good work that's been done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Brewer, and just to add to the Abercrombie one, you know, that means a lot to, you know, people all over this county. Some of the ones up, that go up that way, you know, aren't used as much, but they're very important to the people that live there and to the fire departments up there and whatnot. So that one, you know, where that really bad intersection is in Abercrombie, I think we did have an effect there with the meeting that we had, you know, in Abercrombie, with the fire department and all the transportation people there and everything. I'm just surprised we got it almost as soon as we did. You know, and credit to a lot of people. It wasn't just our council, the MLA and others who worked hard to get it to happen. But credit doesn't matter. What matters is the lives that are saved at that intersection. So we look forward to that. I haven't been through for a while, but the sound of things is coming along pretty good. I haven't been there.
It's like anything, it's slow when you have to sit and wait, when you're 15 minutes late in the first place, okay? But when it's all when it's going to be finished, it's as well.
And I also wanted to comment on that sale in Churchville. I asked Connie if she wants to go, fine, and I said, what's the money in my pocket when I'm down $5 for going home? So I get down to $5 a time to go home. But, anyway, it helped somebody over the sale, but the first 3 places I came to that day, there was ladies there from Salem, which is in my district, and they were there selling crafts and whatnot. The second ones I came to, I forget what they were selling, but they were from Sylvester. And then the third one was downtown Maple Syrup, or there. So it wasn't just, you know, the Churchville area, it was people from all over were there selling. And there was a lot of really good products there. You hated to walk by without buying something from everybody almost, you know? But, I thought it was well done, and the weather just barely played ball with them. Just hanging rain all the time, it never actually happened. So, now it was a good community event, and got a lot of people out and everything. People had their masks on. Go ahead, Councilor Thompson, and Councilor Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the Churchville, event there, they claimed that there was about 400 people that went through there in the 3 or 4 hours it was open. And it's something that's their second year in a row they did this. It was Eastern Valley Community Development Association to put it on. And they used the Churchville Hall. Now the residents of Churchville have a lot of pride in that building and property. It recently went under extensive renovation, and it's accessible to the community. It's a source of pride for the community, and their next goal, and it sort of dovetails in with what they're trying to do with the outside, and this is part of getting past COVID, and what are we going to do next, and they're trying to develop their outdoor space there, and they have plans for outdoor gazebo type facility where they can better host events like this. Also want to mention last week there was a nice write-up on volunteer up East River Valley's Mike Heckimovich. He's I think every community needs a Mike Heckimovich in the community. He's involved in a lot of things, and but he doesn't want any of the accolades, he said. But I can tell you, he's right in the middle of everything there. And right now, they're finishing up a huge transformation of the church, or the Springville Church and Community Hall. Last spring, they would have received a $100,000 grant from federal government to do a lot of the work. They got 2 new wheelchair accessible washrooms, and Chester can attest to the former washrooms in the building or in the basement. They weren't accessible, and they added an addition on to the building, a brand new kitchen, and it's just beautiful. And right now they're constructing a wheelchair accessible ramp through a grant they received from the provincial government for $13,000. And they're going to have, it's going to be wheelchair accessible rate, and it's we're just waiting for the 100th practice to start again, so we can all enjoy it. So it's kudos to Mike and Springville Hall for the work they've done. Thank you.
Yeah, Councilor Boyle.
Yeah, I don't know. Everybody got the email though. EEELLE Pines. And what it is, anonymous donor furnishes entire palliative care unit at the Airbnb hospital with cuddle beds. Against these cuddle beds, this in an innovative, otherwise normal hospital bed enhances capacity and of life care by extending to allow greater space for physical contact between loved ones. So it's quite a thing. Everybody got it. I got it today from this,
You're finished, Councilor Brooks?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, now I just received today too, and, whoever those anonymous donors are, we can be very thankful for them because we never know what one of our loved ones is gonna end up in, elder care, and, it's certainly a big improvement on what it used to be when people, their 5 and a half hours or days were just in a regular hospital bed, but, any improvements to that are a big asset for sure. Go ahead, Darrell.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I'd like to congratulate the Slice Committee, specifically Ken and Cindy Petitog. For those of you that aren't aware, every year there's a Woody Slice tournament, golf tournament in memory of Woody Woodacre. And it's a top ticket in town to get a golf team to play. And the money raised, Hector Arena is always given a donation from that. I spoke to Ken last year and he was hoping that he could do a silent auction, but with COVID and everything, he wasn't able to. However, this year, they had a beautiful silent auction at the Victor Legion. And the amount that people donated, beautiful, beautiful things that were auctioned off, lots of hockey memorabilia, and it was just a lovely evening, which I had the pleasure to attend. And then the Saturday after was the golf tournament, and this year I believe they raised $21,000, which is a new record. Donations coming in from all over the county in memory of Woody Woodacre and this awesome event that happens every year. So I just like to say thank you to all the volunteers. I'd like to say thank you to everyone that golfed that day and came out and supported the silent auction. It's going to be a big help for the Hector Arena, and I just want to say thank you.
That's great to hear. We do have so many good volunteers and volunteers tonight with different other individuals, that we generally thank those people at the volunteer banquet, and I'm not sure, I'm wondering all the ones that are doing the work, you have certain groups going on that are represented, but to get to individuals like the ones that have been discussed here tonight is quite important, I think. Councilor Dave Merrick, looks like I missed them 3 times.
Well, at least once. A committee announcement, October 16th, there will be a seafood chowder takeout meal. I understand ticket sales are going very, very well. It's going to be from 10:30 pickup of the meals from 10:30 to 1:30. Couple of little things out at the hall there too. Of course, we'll have wear masks and separation and all that. This is I'm calling it the first annual, and Councilman Field will be pleased to know that we're even putting a little bit of lobster in the seafood chowder, just for color. It's $12 a ticket. I think it's 3 left of the 25 ahead. The other thing is not as happy a thing. I want to publicly recognize the passing of Patricia Patsy. I knew her as DeYoung. She was a constituent of mine up until I believe last fall. She had been for 20 years. But well, Patsy, it wasn't mentioned in her obituary, but she took on the campaign to get the worst road in Nova Scotia paved, and that was the Way Hill Road, and it was from about 1990 to 2008. And she was so persistent that Dr. Ham's office was looking to get a protection of property declaration against her. She was in there protesting, and she was on ATV and her young fellows at that time, picking up hubcaps and so on and so on. She just kept getting publicity for how awful that road was. Finally, Dr. Ham agreed to have it repaid. So, although we lost her tragically, she did some good. Thank you.
Councilor Carter, you forgot to mention where the seafood chowder was available at.
Well, the
I think
ticket,
I know, but you didn't.
I have 2 tickets. You have to take the ticket on.
What
It's the Unit Center. It's the Unit Center Community Hall. Yeah, and it's just as a forewarning, we've been looking at it. It was dragged from Pleasant Valley to Unit Center 58 years ago. And let's put it this way, it's well past its economic life. So we're probably going to look at a major fundraiser to try to replace it over the next few years.
Okay, now, we're still on community announcements here. We've had a good discussion. Are there any more community announcements for tonight? Hearing none, we'll move on to emergency resolutions. Are there any emergency resolutions? Any hands, any referrals to committees or council? Go ahead, Councilor Teal.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. It was about a year ago that we had a response concerning your speed signs. So we had a big discussion that night. And we were still on the phone then, and that we had wrote the Minister of Transportation. And the response that we got back, if my memory serves me correct, was that they would look into it. And I was just wondering if we could ask them for an update of what their policy was going to change, if they looked into it at all. Yeah.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
I sort of know what the answer is.
Me too, but-
It pays down.
But there's also a new government, as we said many times tonight, so, you know, I would, appreciate an update.
It doesn't hurt to ask, so we don't need a motion for that. I don't think we'll just ask staff to look for an update on that situation with the speed signs.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilor Boyle.
Well, it's just a repeat thing, my iPad is all over the yard. It turned around and I'm stuck like the Brian and sometimes I can't open it, it just won't open. And plus, when you go to send anything, it just turned around like 5 times before it was through. So there's something desperately wrong with what's going on.
Has it been into the staff and
What's that?
Has it been into the Glasgow?
Yes, it was in Glasgow, they redone a whole bunch of stuff through there, I don't know. 4 months ago, but it's still, it's a piece of crap for there, but that's going on.
Any time to trade it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My vehicle gives me that much problem, standing crazy. Yeah, we need to get it working, guys. Like, I'm surprised how much I use this to say, this is your lifeline, really, your council and everything else that's going on, so you need to have one that's working. If they can't get it working properly, then I don't know, to me, you need a different one. Brian will look into it too, and see if we can get a better answer, because I know you brought it up this time. We're not any better off. Okay, are there any other referrals to committee or council? Okay, hearing none, we're open to a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second, moved.